In the early 1930s, a strange man arrived in Key West, Florida. His name was Carl Tanzler, though he liked to call himself Count Karl von Kozel, a made-up title to mask his loneliness. He said she was his soulmate, sent by heaven, and that he would recognize her the moment they met. He worked as a radiology technician at the Marine Hospital, quiet and eccentric, with a thick German accent and a strange obsession with death, destiny, and dreams. Carl believed he was destined to meet a beautiful dark-haired woman who had appeared in his dreams since childhood. Lena was brought to the hospital by her family, suffering from tuberculosis, a deadly disease at the time. In 1930, he claimed that destiny had finally delivered her. Her name was Elena Milagro Hoyos, a 21-year-old Cuban-American woman with striking features and long black hair. Carl was instantly obsessed. He offered her experimental treatments, none of them sanctioned, many of them bizarre. He brought her gifts, jewelry, perfumes, clothes. Even a small plane he promised to take her around the world in once she recovered. But Elena never returned his affections. She was sick, scared, and likely confused by this older man's intense behavior. Despite Carl's efforts, she died in October 1931. She was buried in a mausoleum at the cemetery, but Carl had the only key, because he had built the tomb. What happened next defies all sanity. He slept next to her. He spoke to her, danced with her in the living room, even hosted candlelit dinners for two. He claimed he could hear her spirit talking to him at night. Carl visited Elena's grave every night for nearly 2 years. She had never trusted Carl, and now she was hearing whispers that he was living with someone who looked eerily like Elena. Children whispered about a strange figure they saw through the window, an old man twirling with what looked like a giant doll. Locals thought it was strange but brushed it off as devotion. Then, one night in 1933, he stopped going to the cemetery. People assumed he had finally moved on. In the dim light, she saw the shape of a woman lying on the bed, dressed in white, skin like wax, hair black and glossy. He hadn't. Over the next 7 years, he tried to preserve her remains using wax, glass eyes, silk, plaster, wires, and chemicals. I was only waiting for her soul to return to her body. Her skin had mostly rotted away, so he replaced it with wax and cloth. He stuffed her body with rags to keep its shape and used piano wire to hold her bones together. Over 6,000 people came to view what had become known as the Corpse Bride of Key West. Some even saw Carl as a tragic romantic. Because that night, Carl stole Elena's corpse from the mausoleum. When asked why he did it, he answered calmly. He wheeled her decayed body home in a toy wagon under the cover of darkness. It was part science, part madness, and entirely horrifying. Carl dressed her in a wedding gown and kept her in bed beside him, who never had the chance to escape him in death. Not because of what he did to her, but because so many people saw it as love, not horror. Neighbors grew suspicious. It wasn't a doll. In 1940, rumors reached Elena's surviving family, especially her sister, Florinda. Florinda decided to visit Carl's home. He moved to Pasco County, Florida, and built a new life, one that still revolved around Elena. What she found was horrifying. The house smelled of chemicals and decay. Florinda screamed. That was Elena. Some say he lived with it until the day he died in 1952. The police were called immediately. Carl was arrested without resistance. I didn't steal a body. I saved my bride from death. During the investigation, forensic experts were shocked to discover just how far Carl had gone to reconstruct and preserve the corpse. But here's the most disturbing part. The public wasn't outraged. In fact, people lined up to see the body when it was put on display at a funeral home. He was never sent to prison, because the statute of limitations for grave robbing had expired. After the scandal, Elena's body was quietly reburied in an unmarked grave by her family to keep her truly at rest. Carl, he faded from the headlines but never stopped obsessing. In secret, he made a life-sized effigy of her using a death mask in photos. When his body was found, reports claimed he had died in the arms of the replica once, again reunited with the woman who never loved him in life. Today, the story of Carl Tanzler and Elena Hoyos remains one of the most disturbing and haunting love stories in American history. In the end, it's not just a story about obsession. It's a story about how far madness can hide behind the mask of romance, and how sometimes the most terrifying love stories are the ones that never end.